All right, welcome back to Gurong Pinoy. Of course, we would like to especially welcome back the members of Team Piaget. Again, those members, so all the members of Team Piaget that we have, they can answer our quizzes. They can download all the PowerPoint presentation that we have. They can enjoy the full-length video. They, of course, have taken our free pre-board. And tonight is another installment to our discussion for our free final coaching. This is a third installment for professional education. Now, again, if you still want to become a member of Team Piaget, if you'll be taking your LET in September, we still are accepting new students. No? So mag-send lamang po kayo ng message sa ating Facebook page. Again, our Facebook page is Gurong Pinoy, hindi po Gurong Pinoy LET online group, but Gurong Pinoy lamang po yung pangalan ng ating Facebook page. So again, I'm inviting all of you to become a member of Team Piaget. As I have mentioned, tonight's discussion is professional education, third installment for our final coaching. This still is a pre-recorded video, but again, we can interact still as if this is a live stream. No? So please do not forget to like, love, and share our video. Again, napaka-importante that you're liking, you're loving, you're sharing our video so that we can reach out to more people. And of course, you can also send us your stars on Facebook and also super chat, super stickers, or super thank yous on YouTube. Okay, but before anything else, of course, let's all have our opening prayer. We thank you for this new day, Lord. Help us to embrace all that it may hold for us, to hear the bird song and have new melodies in our hearts, to see the sunrise and create beauty with our hands, to touch the leaves that grow afresh, and allow your love to touch our hearts, to smell the fragrance of the flowers and breathe in the wonder of your creation, to dwell on the beauty of our world and study and fathom your miracles, to enjoy the conversations we have and the lessons we go to. May we drink in all the goodness you have for us. Amen. Okay, so once again, this is professional education. Please do like, love, and share our video. Napaka-importante again that you are liking, loving, and especially sharing our video so that we can reach out to more people. Gaya ninyo, matulungan din po sila sa kanilang paghahanda na sa kanilang licensure exam for teachers. Again, your membership fee for Team Piaget is valid until September of this year. So, pwede pa pong humabol yung mga September LET takers natin. Mag-send lamang po ng message sa ating Facebook page. Again, that's Gurong Pinoy. Again, please do like, love, share this video, support us by sending us stars on Facebook, and also your super chat, super stickers, or super thank yous on YouTube. Okay, so once again, as I've mentioned, this is a pre-recorded video. No, as you may have already known, I have just given birth. So now, during this time, I would already have my 2-week-old baby. No, so all the videos that we have for our final coaching are all pre-recorded. But of course, you can still interact. You can still put your answers in our comment box. Yung like button po natin, yung thumbs up icon natin, yung heart icon natin, nandyan din. And of course, the share icon is also there. Please do like, love, and share our video. Okay, we start with question number 1. Piagetian stage characterized by the development of logical operations for seriation, classification, and conservation. Thinking is tied to real events and objects. Is this letter A, concrete operations, letter B, formal operations, letter C, pre-operations, or letter D, sensory motor? Okay, what do you think is the best choice for question number 1? Again, these questions all came from March and January 2022 licensure exam for teachers. So these were the questions that our LPTs have already seen. No? So maaring ito din yung mga magiging questions inyo sa inyong licensure exam for teachers. Okay, what's your choice? We're looking for a stage in Piaget's cognitive development theory. Okay, is it letter A, concrete operations, letter B, formal operations, letter C, pre-operations, or letter D, sensory motor? Okay, please put your answer in our comment box. Okay, ano kaya yung tumpak na choice for question number 1? Number 1, tumpak, or number 1, ligwak? We will find out. Okay, ano kaya yung choice? What's the best choice for question number 1? Okay, now going back to question number 1, Piagetian stage characterized by the development of logical operations. You actually have several hints here. You have seriation, when you can form different series, so you can arrange the objects from smallest to biggest or from shortest to longest. Classification, you can classify, you can group the same types of objects. And of course, there's conservation. You already know that even if you transfer the volume of water in a different shape of glass, the volume stays the same. So that's conservation. And of course, your hints here are also found in the second sentence. It's tied to real events and objects. If you can choose the best hint here, malaking hint mo dito would be the term real. Okay, so real. And so the correct choice here would be letter A, concrete operations is correct. Okay, now remember you have 4 different stages in the cognitive development theory of Piaget. Let's take a look at your stages. Now, so again, the first one is sensory motor. Your child here uses the senses and the motor skills now for the development of the motor skills. And the best skill that your child is able to gain here is object permanence. And the child here, whenever the child already has object permanence, the child knows that even if the mom, for example, or the father is not seen right now, hindi nasa harap niya yung nanay or tatay niya, the nanay or tatay already exists. No? So object permanence, that's object permanence. That's a milestone in your sensory motor stage. Now, after this, you have pre-operational. Here, the imagination of the child is very rich. So you have symbolic thinking, you have egocentrism. The child is very selfish. He thinks what he can see, other people around him can also see. Okay, so, and also there's centration. When you say centration, isang aspect lamang ng isang bagay yung nakikita ng bata. Okay, so height lamang, for example, hindi nakikita na the same lamang yung volume ng or amount ng liquids in the 2 glasses dahil yung tinitingnan niya yung height ng isang glass. No? So that's centration. Now, after that, concrete operational, ito yung hinahanap natin. Logic has already arisen, no? So nag-start na yung logic niya. But again, you are using real-life objects here. So real things, concrete objects. Okay, so conservation, this is the opposite of centration. The child already knows na kahit nilipat niya sa taller, narrower glass yung tubig, ganun pa rin yung volume na. The volume is conserved. Numbers are learned, especially yung tinatawag nating reversibility. No? Alam na niya na subtraction is the opposite of addition. You have the development of ideas, and of course, there's seriation, yung sinabi natin kaninang seriation. Your child can form series, can arrange objects from smallest to biggest, from shortest to longest, for example. And of course, they can classify or group the same types of objects. And the last one, of course, is formal operational. This is more abstract na, no? So abstract reasoning. So again, that's sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. Smart people cook fish. These are the 4 stages in Piaget's cognitive development theory, but we were looking for letter A, concrete operations, for number 1. Okay, pagtumpak, congratulations. Pagligwak, move on ka agad. Okay, number 2, how will you interpret a student's 80% percentile score? The student scored blank, letter A, higher than 80% of the members of the group. Letter B, better, relative to the competencies targeted. Letter C, high in all the skills being tested. Or letter D, 80% of the specified content. Okay, what's your choice for question number 2? Which one do you think is the correct choice for number 2? Again, please put your answer in our comment box. Don't forget to like, love, and share our video. Send us stars, send us super chat, super stickers, or super thank yous. Okay, what is your choice for number two? All right, so again, number two, you are given the student's 80th percentile score, and you're asked for its interpretation. Now, your percentile score po, this is used for norm referencing. Remember, you have your criterion referencing and norm referencing. Pag sinabi mong criterion referencing, you are comparing the score of the students against the different criteria, no? So against the different objectives, against the different targets, kung nahit ba niya yung lahat ng mga objectives na yan. But when you say norm referencing, you are trying to compare the performance of a student with the performance of the entire group. Okay, so yung percentile po, ginagamit siya sa norm referencing, no? Performance of a child or of a student with that of the entire group. And so if you are looking at the different choices that we have here, ang B mo is based on competencies or your targets. Your C is based on the skills being tested. So these are still your criteria. And letter D mo ganun pa rin, no? Specified content, still your criteria. So letter A po, yung ating choice dito, higher than 80% of the members of the group. Again, this is norm referencing. You are comparing the performance of one student with the performance of the entire group. So tandaan nyo po yan, pag 80% percentile score, higher, it's always higher, okay? The performance is higher than 80% of the rest of the group. Or the rest of the group performed lower by 80%. No? So yung grupo naman performed lower, pero yung kanyang performance ng student mismong na ating pinag-uusapan is higher than 80% of the members of the group. So number two is A. Number three, a negative discrimination index means letter A, more from the lower group, answer the test item correctly. Letter B, more from the upper group, answer the test item correctly. Letter C, the test item could not discriminate between the upper and the lower group. Or letter D, the test item has low reliability. Okay, we're talking about your discrimination index here. So yung pinaka-goal ng discrimination mo is paano niya na di-divide no yung klase, na ipapakita na itong parte ng klase mo are high achievers and this other part of your class are lower, your low achievers, yung lower group mo and your upper group. Paano niya na di-discriminate? Paano niya na ipapakita yung difference in the performance between the higher group and the lower group? And so your question here is about a negative discrimination index. If the value of your discrimination index is negative, what does that mean? Okay, is it A, B, or C, or D? Again, please do participate by sending your answers in our chat box. Okay, what's your choice for question number three? Okay, so again, we are talking about negative discrimination index. And so the meaning of this is that more from the lower group answered the test item correctly. Dahil negative siya, no? So mas marami sa lower group mo have answered the test item correctly. That means invalid yung test item mo. Dahil mas marami sa mga bobits yung nakakuha ng tama kesa sa mga matatalino, no? So that's your letter A, more from the lower group answer the test item correctly because you have your negative discrimination index. So number three is letter A. Number four, Rene exhibits fear response to freely roaming dogs, but does not show fear when a dog is on a leash or confined to a pen. Which conditioning process is illustrated? Letter A, discrimination. Letter B, extinction. Letter C, generalization. Or letter D, acquisition. Okay, so these are all parts, all of these terms are parts of Pavlov's classical conditioning theory. Ano kaya ang choice for item number 4? Okay, question number 4. What do you think is the best choice? Okay, so sabi na number 4 mo, si Rene daw, takot kapag kayong aso ay hindi nakatali, no? Freely roaming dog, yung mga askal or kahit na may breed pa, basta hindi nakatali. Takot na takot si Rene. Now, pag yung dog ay nakatali, or your dog is confined in a pen, nakakulong, hindi siya takot. And so the question is, which conditioning process is illustrated? Okay, so namimili si Rene, no, kung kailan siya matatakot sa aso at kailan siya hindi matatakot sa aso. And so we are looking for discrimination here. Letter A, discrimination. You can discriminate. You can differentiate the different or the two different situations kung kailan ka lang matatakot or kung kailan ka hindi takot sa aso. Now, the opposite for this is generalization. Pag sinabi ng sitwasyon mo na kahit na cute yung aso, freely roaming yung aso, naka-pen, naka-leash sa anong uri man ng aso ay takot si Rene, then that will be generalization. General yung kanyang response. Now, extinction and acquisition, the same, opposite lang din po sila, no? Extinction and acquisition. Acquisition, another term for this is excitation. That is the first time that you acquire a certain response. First time na nagkaroon ka ng response sa isang stimulus, that would be acquisition or excitation. Now, the time na nawala na yung inyong response to that stimulus, hindi ka natakot, for example, hindi ka na kinikilig sa kanya, no? Hindi ka na naiihi kahit na nakikita mo pa siya. Okay, kung dati kilig na kilig ka, ngayon hindi na, when you stop responding to a certain stimulus, that would be extinction. Okay, so these are also opposites as well as your A and C. These are also opposites. Okay, so again, another term for acquisition is excitation, which is the opposite of extinction. Okay, so I hope clear ang ating number 4. We move on with number 5. Of the following classroom activities, which best relates to child visual learning and development? Okay, is it letter A, drawing and coloring? Letter B, singing and acting? Letter C, textbook reading? Or letter D, games and sports? Okay, saan dito yung pinaka nagpapakita best relate to child visual learning and development? Okay, what's your choice for number 5? Okay, which one do you think is our choice? Tumpak or ligwak kaya sa number 5? Okay, going back to question number 5, we are asked for the situation that best relates to the child's visual learning and development. Okay, so pag titingnan yung ating question, no, paano siya nag-learn visually to use the visuals niya, the use of the eyes and the hands coordination, for example, and the development. No? Best choice mo dito would be letter A, that's drawing and coloring. This is towards the development of your child, no? Kaya meron tayong ginagawang maraming activities nito. Once the child has reached prep or kinder, drawing and coloring, because this is for the development of the child's visual learning and visual learning, no? So visual learning, the use of the eyes as well as the hand-eye coordination. Singing and acting, of course, this cannot be your choice. Your textbook reading, hindi din po siya, no? When you have textbook reading, naka-acquire na ng development yung child. This is more advanced na siya. Games and sports is also not part of your visual learning and development. So letter A po, yung ating choice for question number 5. Number 6, we're going back to Piaget's cognitive development theory. In Piaget's concrete operational stage in cognitive development, which refers to the ability of the child to perceive different features of objects and situations. For example, e.g., of course, is read as for example, toughness in stone, elasticity in rubber, etc. This is letter A, decentering, letter B, seriation, letter C, classification, or letter D, egocentrism. Okay, so we all know all these terms were part of Piaget's cognitive development theory. Okay, and we are being asked for concrete operational. Okay, so which one is it? Okay, what do you think is the best choice for question number 6? Okay, so going back to question number 6 here, the child can perceive, no, the child can see the different features of objects and situations. For example, toughness in stones, elasticity in rubber, no? So hindi lamang isang parte ng bagay ang kanyang nakikita. Nakikita niya yung different features, different characteristics of a certain situation or a certain object. And so the correct choice here is decentering. Remember centration kanina, when you say centration, isang aspeto lamang yung nakikita ng bata. But when you say decentering, which actually is also sometimes known as conservation, nakikita na niya na hindi lamang iisang aspeto ng isang bagay na nakaka-apekto sa kanya. No? So maaring nakikita na niya yung different characteristics of an object. So decentering po yung ating hinahanap dito. Letter D, automatically guwak ito because this is not part of your concrete operations. Okay, so parte siya ng pre-operational stage. Seriation, again, is when the child is able to form series, arrange the objects according to the different characteristics. Classification naman is grouping, okay, the same objects. So your choice here would be decentering, when you can see not just one aspect, because when you say you can only see one aspect, that's centration, and the opposite is decentration or decentering, when you can already see different features, different characteristics. Okay, so 6 is A. Number 7, the same thing, no? Piaget's concrete operational stage in cognitive development, which refers to the ability to order or arrange things logically based on dimensions such as weight, volume, or size. Is this letter A, conservation, letter B, reversibility, letter C, seriation, or letter D, classification? Okay, I've just mentioned this. Bonus. Excuse me. Okay, which one is your choice for number 7? Okay, what's your choice for question number 7? All right. So again, sabi na number 7 mo, order or arrange things logically based on weight, sino mas magaan until sa mas or sa pinakamabigat. Volume, no? So pinaka-less yung amount of liquid until sa pinakamarami, or pwedeng size. Okay, so your choice here, of course, would be seriation. Letter C po yan, forming your series. Conservation, again, is when you know that even if you move the volume, for example, now this is just an example, even if you have 100 ml of water in a glass and you move it in another glass which is narrower or is of the same or of different shape, ganun pa rin, nako-conserve pa rin yung amount ng liquid. That's conservation. Reversibility, when you know that subtraction is the opposite of addition, alam mo na kahit na yung clay, for example, ay binola mo, ginawa mo into a ball, pwede mo pa rin siyang i-flatten, pwede mo siyang may ibalik no, sa kanyang original state. Classification is when you can group the same types of objects, okay, making or forming groups. So number 7C is tumpak. Number 8, still Piaget stages of cognitive development. What is a preschool age in which a child's intelligence is intuitive, able to make mental representations, and close to the use of symbols? Okay, is this letter A, formal operational stage? Letter B, concrete operational stage? Letter C, sensory motor stage? Or letter D, pre-operational stage? Okay, what is this? What's your choice for number 8? All right, now going back to question number 8, we are looking for the preschool age. The child's intelligence is intuitive. Okay, the child is using his or her intuition. He or she is able to make mental representations close to the use of symbols. The correct choice here, of course, would be letter D, pre-operational, because we are looking for the preschool age. Okay, maaaring na-confuse kayo because of making of the terms mental representations, symbols, but your hint here is preschool age. Okay, so preschool age, that's pre-operational. Again, going back to the different stages of Piaget's cognitive development theory, your sensory motor is from birth to 2 years. Then pre-operational is again preschool age, that's 2 to 6 years old. Concrete operational is 7 to 11 years now, so this is school age. Then, of course, you have 12 years old to adulthood for formal operational. So for number 8, tumpak na choice is letter D, pre-operational stage. Okay, number 9. Kung ligwak, move on lamang. No? At least sa actual alam nyo na kung ano yung magiging choice. Number 9, a support instructional material has meaningfulness if it is characterized as letter A, flexible in purpose, letter B, age appropriate, letter C, sensitive to cultural issues, or letter D, available at the time of use. Okay, so again, whenever you are answering your Prof Ed test, no, you have to look for hints. You have to be very sensitive and you have to be mapagmatsyag, no? Dapat matanglawin, nakikita mo kung ano yung hint mo. Pwede mong i-circle, no, yung mga words na nakikita mo sa question. Pwede po yun. Pwedeng sulatan yung inyong questionnaire. Okay, so meron na tayong sinatawag na draining technique. Meron kang draining technique. Ano itong draining technique? Yung lahat ng nasa utak mo, for example, formulas in math, or for example, the isms, no, kung medyo confused ka, or for example, all the mnemonics that you have, all the acronyms, once you receive your answers, your questionnaire, isulat mo lahat ng mga bagay na yan, no, para kahit na makalimutan mo, kung pwede mong balikan sa notes mo na nakalagay sa inyong questionnaire. Okay? So, yung importante lamang na panatili mong busila, no, na malinis, walang ibang sulat would be your answer sheet. Pero yung questionnaire mo po pwede mong sulat-sulatan. So, pwede kang mag-circle, okay? So, or check if you find this easier, no, to remember kung ano yung hints mo, you find it easier to interpret the questions, then do so. Okay? Going back to question number 9, this is A question that would ask us or that ask us kung paano nagiging meaningful yung isang instructional material. Is it meaningful if it is flexible in purpose, if it is age appropriate, if it is sensitive to cultural issues, or if it is letter D, available at the time of use? Now, lahat naman ito tama, no? But which one do you think is the best choice? Alin kaya dito yung pinakamagandang choice? Kung age-appropriate, flexible, sensitive, available at the time of use. The correct choice here would be letter A, no? Flexible siya sa kanyang gamit. That means hindi lamang siya nakasentro sa mga matatalino mo, pwede siyang gamitin ng mga those with special needs, pwede siyang gamitin, pwede mo siyang ma-tweak, pwede mo siyang mabago, no? Pwede mo ma-modify para maging meaningful siya sa lahat ng klase ng learners mo. And of course, lahat naman ito included na doon, no? So pag age appropriate siya, meaning pwede mo siyang gamitin sa inyong age group. Okay, sensitive siya to cultural issues, available at the time of use. The correct choice is letter A. It should be flexible in its purpose. Hindi lamang isang aspeto yung ating tinitingnan, lahat ng aspeto dapat covered ng inyong IM, ng inyong instructional material. Okay, number 10. To determine her students' level of moral development, teacher E presents to her class a morally ambiguous situation and asks them what they would do in such a situation. On whose theory is teacher E's technique based? Letter A, Brunner. Letter B, Piaget. Letter C, Freud. Or letter D, Colbert. Okay, what is our choice for question number 10? We're halfway. Okay, so sabi dito, you have teacher E, and nag-present si teacher E ng morally ambiguous situation. And he asked the students what they would do, or she asked her students what they would do, no? So babae para si teacher E. So kaninong theory nakabase yung technique na ito? Is it letter A, Brunner, letter B, Piaget, letter C, Freud, or letter D, Colbert? Of course, the correct choice would be letter D, Colbert. Okay, so this is moral development theory, no? Okay, so let's go to our next slide. Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of moral development. So again, you have 3 different levels and you have 6 total number of steps now. So again, level 1 is pre-conventional. Then you have conventional, that's level 2. Then you have post-conventional, that's level 3. Now, under level 1 mo, pre-conventional, the first one is punishment and obedience. Now, so the student would just choose this because the student does not want to get punished, or the student would want to get some reward. Okay, so reward punishment lamang itong step 1 mo. Step 2, naive hedonism. Conforms to get rewards and to have favors returned. So halos pareha sila, no? So reward and punishment for steps 1 and 2. That's still under your pre-conventional stage. Now, for your conventional stage, when you say conventional, you follow the norms. You follow the conventions. Okay, so you'd want to be a good boy, good girl image. Yung mga common questions natin sa LET would be yung mga teacher's pet, okay? That's conforming to avoid disapproval or disliking by others. And you conform so that you can avoid censorship by authorities. No? Ayaw mong maparusahan ng authorities. And so you'd want to follow the rules. That's conventional. Conventional is just following the rules. And step 5 and 6, that's under post-conventional level. You conform to maintain communities. You want to maintain law and order, for example. And step 6 is you already have your own principles and conscience. Okay, so kahit na against the norms, against the law, ginagawa mo kasi meron ka ng sarili mong pag-iisip. Now remember, sabi ni Colbert, not all people can reach the post-conventional level. Some people would just die until the conventional level, na hindi nila nire-reach yung post-conventional level nila, wala silang sarili nilang desisyon. No? Some people would be having that situation. Okay, so this is Colbert's theory of moral development. Now, Jerome Bruner naman, he is known, of course, sa spiral curriculum, no, sa ating spiral curriculum, one which is used in K to 12. And of course, he's also known for the different learning modes, the EIS and active, iconic, and symbolic. So, una-una and active, the kid would learn through movement or action or real life objects. Now, iconic, the kid would learn through images or icons. And symbolic, the kid can already use abstract symbols. Okay, so EIS, ito yung different learning modes according to Jerome Bruner. Now, you have Sigmund Freud. Marami siyang binigay sa atin. The first one be psychosexual stages. OA palagi, no? Pwedeng gawin yung mnemonic nyo, OA palagi. Or owls always play late games. So you have 5 different stages here. Oral stage, anal stage, phallic stage, latency, and genital. Okay, so sabi ni Lolo Freud, in every stage, there is a certain part of the body that would give satisfaction, no? Sexual satisfaction, in the case of the child. So, unang-una oral stage from 0 to 1 year old, gratification is done orally. So, lahat ng makukuha ng bata would be placed inside the mouth. Okay, so that's oral. Anal, gratification is done through the anus. Okay, so here you can already start potty training the child. So 2 to 3 years old. Phallic stage, phallic of course means the phallus, yung ari. Okay, so here the child is busy exploring himself, busy exploring the different parts of his body, no? So, and here also you have what you call Electra complex and your Oedipus complex. So Electra complex, yung daughters would compete with the mom to get the attention of the dad. Sa case naman ng sons mo, you'd call that Oedipus complex. No? So that's the phallic stage. Latency stage, here the child is very busy with schoolwork and so walang sexual gratification in child. No? So Lolo Freud found this to be very boring. It's a very boring stage for him. Now, genital stage, it's kind of like your phallic stage, but during this time, the child is exploring his or her sexuality using another person. It can be a person of the opposite sex or it can be a person of the same sex. Depende sa gender, sa preferences ng bata. No? So genital stage po yan. Sometimes also called sexual reawakening. Okay, nag-reawaken yung kanyang sexuality after ng latency stage. So these are Sigmund Freud's psychosexual stages. Now he has also given us the id, the ego, and the superego. And according to him, these 3 different parts of our mind, of our conscious, subconscious, and unconscious would affect our personality. Now, iba-iba po yung characteristics ng tatlong ito. Your ego is the balance. This is your idea of yourself. No? This is your idea kung sino ka talaga. Your id is your animalistic desire. Ito walang pakialam. No? So sabi ng id mo, I need to eat right this second. Wala kang pakialam kahit may boyfriend ka. Gusto mo pa rin makipaglandian sa iba, for example. So that's the id that's ruling you. Animalistic desire, your libido, your sexual urges, hunger, thirst, those are all going to be under the id. Your superego, on the other hand, is the opposite of the id. If your id is animal, your superego is moralistic. Okay, so sabi niya, you can't do that because you're in the middle of an important meeting. No? So ito yung takot na takot lagi, yung superego mo. Okay, so moralistic side, that's your superego. And again, your ego is found in the middle. That's the balance between your id and your superego. So again, this is still under Freud's theory, no? So sa subconscious theory natin, according to Freud. Okay? Now, number 11, you arrange the rows of blocks in such a way that a row of 5 blocks is longer than a row of 7 blocks. If you ask which row has more, grade 1 pupils will say that it is the row that makes a longer line. Based on Piaget's cognitive development theory, what problem is illustrated? Is it letter A, conservation problem, letter B, assimilation problem, letter C, accommodation problem, or letter D, egocentrism problem? Okay, so meron kang 5 blocks at one side and you have 7 blocks at the other side. Now, what you do is yung 5 blocks mo, inarrange mo sila para longer, no? So mas maraming space in the middle. Ang 7 blocks mo naman, mas malalapit, no? Mas malapit sila sa isa't isa. Now, you ask your grade 1 pupils sa ang row ang mas mahaba. Okay? And sabi nila, yung row na yung row na mas mahaba, yung mas mahaba lang yung space na inoccupy. No? So what problem is illustrated here? Is it letter A, conservation problem, letter B, assimilation problem, letter C, accommodation problem, or letter D, egocentrism? Okay, which one is your choice for number 11? Okay, going back to number 11, which one do you think is the correct choice? Okay, so hindi nakikita ng bata na 5 lamang yung blocks sa isang row at 7 sa isang row. And so the correct choice here would be conservation, no? Nakasentro lamang siya sa spaces na na-occupy, no, sa area na na-occupy ng blocks mo kahit na 5 lamang yung blocks ng isang row mo as compared sa doon na 7 yung blocks. So, and so that would be conservation problem. Hindi niya nako-conserve, no? Nakasentration pa yung bata. Now, egocentrism, you know this, the child is very selfish. The child thinks that all of the people around him can see what he sees. Assimilation problem and accommodation, these are also based on Piaget's theory. But then again, when you say assimilation and accommodation, this is regarding to your schema, your idea of what an object is, your concepts. Okay, so concepts mo to. Assimilation again is when you still have the same schema, no? So hindi mo siya nabago, yung schema mo ay ganun pa rin. For example, yung bata dito, alam niya yung itsura ng dog, no? So pag may 4 na paa at may tail, aso para sa kanya. Now, nung nakita niya yung pusa at tinawag pa rin niya yung pusa na dog, that's still assimilation. No? So the same schema, you see the two S's here, the same schema, having the same schema, that's assimilation. Now, once the child has already learned na hindi siya dog, ito ay isang cat, which is different from a dog, kahit na parehas silang may 4 na paa at parehas silang may tail, this would already be accommodation, a change in schema. Change in schema, that's accommodation. Okay, but for number 11, letter A is tumpak. Number 12, a foreigner who is studying here in the Philippines was turned off by the Filipinos' way of eating balut and frogs since he didn't experience it before. Is this letter A, xenocentrism, letter B, ethnocentrism, letter C, colonial mentality, or letter D, culture shock? Kumakain ba tayo ng frogs? Parang hindi naman, no? Maaring sa mga bukid, may ibang tao na kumakain ng frogs. But balot, of course, is very common. Okay, so nakain tayo ng balot. And some foreigners do not like this. Okay, so they are turned off by our ways. So what is this that this foreigner is experiencing? Is it letter A, xenocentrism, letter B, ethnocentrism, letter C, colonial mentality, or letter D, culture shock? Okay, what's your choice for number 12? Okay, number 12, going back to question number 12 here. Your xenocentrism, when you say centrism, no, that means they are being they are favoring a certain group of individuals. So when you say xenocentrism, xeno kasi would mean foreigners. So when you say xenocentrism here, this person thinks that foreign objects, foreign products, foreigners are better than the locals. No? So xeno again means the foreigners. And so yung xenocentrism mo is actually the same as letter C. So A and C mo, parehas lang. Xenocentrism, the belief that foreign people, foreign products are better than the locals. It's also colonial mentality, no? The belief that Levi's is better than Pen Shop or than Jog, for example. Toblerone is better than Goya or any other candies that we have, no? So that would be colonial mentality or xenocentrism. The opposite of xenocentrism is ethnocentrism, ethnic. So this is a belief that your own culture is better. So if you're a Filipino, you think Filipinos' local products or Filipino people are better than the foreigners. That's ethnocentrism. So here the correct choice is actually culture shock. No? So you have a person pumunta sa isang place and then the person was turned off because of what he sees the locals are doing. But hindi naman niya sinabi na better yung kanyang culture or better yung kanyang ginagawa, no, than the Filipinos and the locals. And so letter D lang po yung ating choice dito, culture shock. Na-shock lang siya sa kultura na kanyang nakita, sa kanyang nasaksihan na tayo ay kumakain ng balot and frogs. Okay, so culture shock is our choice for number 12. 13. Teacher Anna has been lecturing for more than an hour and she noticed that students are not anymore able to absorb additional information. This phenomenon is known as letter A, stagnation, letter B, procrastination, letter C, boredom, or letter D, plateau of learning. Okay, what's your choice for number 13? Okay, what's your choice? Number 13? What are we looking for? What term are we looking for? No? So lecture siya ng lecture for more than an hour and hindi na na-absorb ng mga estudyante yung kanyang sinasabi. This phenomenon is, the term that we are looking for, of course, is plateau of learning. No? So plateau na, naka-flat na yung learning ng inyong students, hindi na sila nakaka-absorb because of too much information. No? So information overload na. Not stagnation, not boredom, not procrastination. Procrastination is yung manyana habit. Okay, so ipapabukas mo pa kung ano yung kailangan mong gawin. Okay, so here letter D is tumpak for number 13. 14, a child who always fights with his or her classmates, who has a very short attention span and who has frequent tantrums is believed to be suffering from letter A, mental retardation, letter B, Down syndrome, letter C, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or letter D, learning disability. Okay, what is our choice for question 14? Okay, number 14, what is our choice? Okay, so sabi dito, the child would always fight with his or her classmates, short attention span, frequent tantrums. Of course, this is ADHD, no? So attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, hindi po mental retardation o kulang sa pag-intindi, kulang sa mental capacity. Learning disability, we've talked about several types of this, yung dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, no? Down syndrome is mongoloid. This is also called trisomy 21. Pare-pareha silang itsura, yung mga singket, no? So, letter C po yung ating hinahanap for 14. 15. Teacher A finds teaching in a multicultural class is very challenging. Which among the following choices will alleviate the difficulty of addressing these challenges? Letter A, she must consider stereotyping rather than cultural identities and biased attitudes. Letter B, she must nurture diversity rather than practicing domination and oppression. Letter C, she must welcome one-sided view rather than the recognition of biases. Or letter D, she must embody a curriculum rather than perspective. Okay, what's your choice? So teacher A is teaching in a multicultural class. No? So for example, she is a teacher in an international school and she finds this very challenging. So how would she alleviate? When you say alleviate, paano niya mas mapapagaan yung difficulty na to? Okay, so paano niya mas mapapadali? Okay, kung hindi man totally mawala, mas mapapadali, mas mapapagaan yung kanyang difficulty na kinakaharap. Okay? Would she consider stereotyping? Would she nurture diversity? Would she welcome one-sided view? Would she just take care of the curriculum? Okay, not the different perspectives. Okay, what's your choice for 15? All right, now going back to question number 15. Again, teacher A is teaching in a multicultural class. And how would she alleviate the difficulty of addressing these challenges? The correct choice here is letter B, no? So nurture diversity. Kahit na iba-iba yung estudyante mo, you have to nurture their differences. Huwag kang magpa-practice ng domination na mas maganda itong race na to or itong kultura na to kaysa sa another type of culture. You cannot do stereotyping. Alam niyo naman kung ano yung stereotyping, no? Meron kang label. For example, sasabihin mo na basta Ilongga, gwapa. Okay? So basta Ilongga, malalambing. Basta mga Ilocano, kuripot. Okay? So yan yung mga stereotyping. Stereotyping po yan. Basta na taga Mindanao terorista, for example. This is just an example, okay? Not to offend our kaguro. Of course, we have so many kaguro from Mindanao. Letter C, she must welcome one-sided view. Of course, you cannot do this. No, you have to be multi-viewed, multi-sided, hindi lamang one-sided. She must embody a curriculum rather than perspective. It is very important that you listen to the different perspectives of your kids. No, iba-iba po yung kanilang pinanggalingan, so hindi po pwedeng ibaliwala mo yung kanilang perspective. So letter B is tumpak for 15. Number 16. Teacher Zanny is an inspiration to almost all of the students. Her efficiency and effectiveness in the profession is truly outstanding. Which of the following describes this attitude toward her? Letter A, naturalism. Letter B, progressivism. Letter C, idealism. Or letter D, perennialism. Outstanding, inspiration, efficient, effective. Okay, so these are some of the hints that you have in this question. So ano kaya ang ating tumpak na choice? Okay, what's your choice for 16? Okay, so going back to question 16, the teacher is an inspiration, she's efficient, she's effective, and she's truly outstanding. Okay, so all of this attributes are all positive, no? And so, of course, we're looking for idealism, perfection, outstanding, goodness. Okay, so idealism po yung ating hinahanap. Naturalism, of course, is when you are following the course of nature. No, you teach according to the nature of the student. Progressivism are all modern day methods of teaching. Perennialism, of course, this means it's forever. No, so whatever was effective a long time ago is still effective up to this point. That's perennial. Okay, so letter C, idealism is our choice. 17, when the daughter is competing with the mother for the father's attention, the daughter is said to be experiencing, I've mentioned this a while ago, kanina, no, letter A, sexual deviation, letter B, electrocomplex, letter C, identity crisis, or letter D, Oedipus complex. Okay, 17, what's your choice? Bonus na to. Okay, what's your choice for question number 17? Okay, going back to 17, the daughter is competing with the mother for the father's attention. Of course, this is electrocomplex. Now, if you have the son, this would be Oedipus complex. This is not sexual deviation. When you say sexual deviation, hindi usual, no, hindi ordinaryo, hindi regular yung kanyang sexuality. And this is similar to identity crisis. Hindi alam ng bata kung ano siya, kung ano yung role niya sa society. But here, letter B is tumpak. 18, it is a process by which an organism inherits the characteristics or the traits of the parents. Letter A, fertilization. Letter B, heredity. Letter C, maturation. Or letter D, development. Okay, what's your choice? What's your choice for number 18? Okay, what is our choice for question number 18? We're almost done for tonight. Okay, now here we're looking for how this is a process by which an organism inherits the characteristics, the traits of the parents. Bakit ikaw ay kulot, no? Kasi isa sa mga parents mo, for example, ay kulot din, or both of them are kulot. Bakit panda ka? Aray, no? Parang ako. Bakit merong mga blue-eyed, merong brown-eyed, no? So, how do we inherit the different characteristics or traits of the parents? This, of course, is letter B, heredity. Okay, so heredity is what we are looking for. Fertilization is just the union of the sperm cell and the egg cell. No? So, when the egg cell is fertilized by the sperm cell, you'd call that fertilization. Maturation and development, hindi din po ito yung ating hinahanap. Development, again, that's the total growth, not only in size of an organism, but it can also mean emotional growth, your psychological growth, mental growth, spiritual growth, na? Sa lahat ng growth ng organism. And maturation, on the other hand, is when the organism, the person, reaches a certain milestone. So, mature na siya. Okay, so letter B po ang 18 natin. Okay, 18 is B. 19. Which activity is most appropriate if I want my students to get a graphic overview of the whole lesson on figures of speech before I discuss them one by one? Letter A, topic outline. Letter B, Venn diagram. Letter C, sentence outline. Or letter D, advanced organizers. Okay, 19. Which activity is most appropriate if I want my students to get a graphic? No, yung hint mo dito, graphic. Okay, so it should be an illustration, no? So chart siya dapat of the whole lesson and figures of speech before I discuss them one by one. Is this a topic outline, Venn diagram, sentence outline, or letter D, advanced organizers? Now, as you can see, your outline mo, when you say outline, you use words. No? So words, lahat sila. May mga different levels ka, may hierarchy ka, but this would be using the different words. So it's not actually graphic. Venn diagram is used to compare two things, no? Sometimes more than two things. So yung meron kang circle, okay, so these are the characteristics of one concept or one object. These are the characteristics of the other object, and you have their commonalities in the middle. Your choice here is advanced organizer, you know, so advanced organizer, and also because you have the term before I discuss them one by one. Before, so advanced organizer, this is also a way for you to get the prior knowledge of your students. Remember, advanced organizers are used to get the prior knowledge of your students. Okay, so this here is an example. Your advanced organizer, you can see the different relationships, no? And of course, this is a way for you to gauge what your students already know or still does not know about a certain topic. Okay, so concept maps are examples for this. Number 20, last one for tonight. The following are examples of nonverbal behavior by teachers. Which one is a restricting or non-helpful nonverbal mannerisms in class by teachers? Letter A, teacher pats good student on the back. Facial expression that connotes approval. Teacher avoids eye contact. Or letter D, teacher displays supportiveness by laughing. Okay, so you are given four different non-verbal behavior. No? So hindi nagsasalita, may mga behavior yung teachers. We are looking for one that is restricting and non-helpful. So we are looking for one that is negative. Okay, so which one do you think is our choice for number 20, last one tonight? Okay, so again, going back to our last question, the following are examples of nonverbal behavior by teachers. Which one is restricting and unhelpful? Teacher pats good student on the back. Facial expression that shows approval. Teacher avoids eye contact, no? Hindi kikipag eye contact yung teacher, baka nahihiya, no? Or baka merong autism yung teacher, no? So hindi siya nakakapag um, interact socially na maayos. Or letter D, teacher displays supportiveness by laughing. The correct choice, of course, is letter C. No? So avoiding eye contact. It's very important that you make eye contact with your students. Okay, so napaka-importante, especially if you're communicating, if you are giving a lecture, you establish eye contact with them para mas may emphasis, no? Yung inyong sinasabi or yung inyong lecture. All right? And that ends tonight's discussion. And again, we will be back in the following weekend. So meron pa tayong dalawang weekends for our Gen Ed, 2 installments pa for Gen Ed for final coaching, and dalawang installments pa for Prof Ed final coaching. All those videos are going to be pre-recorded, but again, please do participate and please do send your answers in our comment box. This has been Coach Mac of Gurong Pinoy, and of course, I leave you the saying, malit man nabuti ng mga kaalaman, ang dulo nito ay malaking kaginawaan. Maraming salamat and good